Welcome everyone to the next episode of the Catributor podcast. This week we have Clyde back again, now actually a Catributor again.
Was that last time as well? No.
Last time
I think that was... Yeah, it's been a while, so I think that was before you'd gotten your...
Jesus. And I see like a small cat on the kitchen. He's kind of bigger than this. Let's see if he comes. I have a candy bag here, so...
Yeah, I still only have... I only have an outdated picture of Cosmo.
Yeah, it's like 6 months old now, so... Is he heavy asleep? Probably. He's probably asleep.
I mean, he's a cat, so he's probably asleep.
Yeah. Luckily. Yeah, it's probably like almost adult size now. Almost.
Okay.
He's gotta be at least. He's fucking huge. Yeah.
So, I mean, you all know Clyde. Do you want to introduce yourself regardless?
I'm Clyde from Twitch. There we go.
He's joined the cat side of the force.
Yeah.
He's one of us.
I'm one of you guys now, again. One of those crazy cat persons.
See, the thing is, I was always a crazy cat person. I just didn't always have a cat.
Yeah, I had like a 3 years break from cats after I moved here. So I had to negotiate with the landlord to allow me to have cats again. Yeah. So here we are.
Here we are. And speaking of past things, we decided to start off this week with a bit of a look back on the last year with its highs, with its lows. And then we come to the new lows that have started this year already. So, yeah, let's just start with, for example, the new ship lines. Last year we had Italian battleships, we had Dutch cruisers, we had German destroyers, German battleship, Russian carriers. Was there another line?
I don't think so.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of it. It's like, for me personally, except for the German battleships, they were all complete lackluster.
Yeah, I think those were the only ones that really stood out. I mean, I like the look of a lot of the Italian battleships, but they're not actually that great to play, and the tier 10 is some weird kludgy thing that doesn't really fit with the Italian theme at all.
I like the last one though, the tier 10.
Oh, it's
like
alright to play.
Five and 6, 7
yeah.
and 10. The rest is meh. But the German line that came out, that was fun.
It's definitely been kind of niche.
Mm.
The Dutch cruisers, well, I mean, they're okay, but they're not great.
It's pretty meh as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been. There's not really been any outstanding line apart from maybe the German battle cruisers, and we all know how well the Schlieffen is doing at the moment. So that might well get a nerf.
Yeah, pretty popular as well. Gee, I wonder why.
A line of brawling battleships. You'd have thought they might be, well received.
Yeah, it's weird that, huh? Just wait until they nerf it, though.
Yeah, it's weird that it came out with a bug that made secondaries indestructible that has conveniently not been fixed.
Huh.
That
seems like a CV.
Seems like the kind of I suppose that's true. If it had been a bug affecting CVs, I mean, they'd have been right on it.
Well, I mean, AA is also indestructible, but not even Wargaming pretends that AA does something, so I guess they're fine with that.
Guess. I've been highly enjoying that line now. It's been a long time since I had that much fun grinding a new line in this game. So thumbs up for that.
I mean, it's interesting. I think that even though, I mean, it's not. Those are not the first lines last year that came out that were lackluster, right, with the Italian battleships, Dutch cruisers, and so on. But it's like they haven't really tried to make those lines appealing. I think it feels like they've just released a year of niche lines that are sort of mediocre at best. And afterwards, they're just like, yeah, we don't care. And then they snuck in the overpowered Russian carriers, and that they've basically released almost simultaneously with another line that was just such a quick release thing that was squeezed in, which I don't understand still.
Yeah, they didn't really space that out very well, did they?
No. It feels weird how much they churn out at once.
Yeah, now they have, obviously, they had with the long Christmas, New Year's update, they didn't know. After the German battleship release was finished, right, they now just didn't do anything new anymore. Now we had a long period where people actually grind those ships. It feels like for all of the lackluster ships, they just, instead of making good ships, they just scrammed out as much as they could, and then they had one good line at the last of the year, and now they let people enjoy them.
They are in a rush for some reason.
Some kind of individual ships which have been quite interesting and fun to play, but there's also been some that have just been also very meh.
Yeah.
I mean, I've completely lost track of premium ships that were released. Like, I mean, there's so many ships these days. It's like, yeah.
I think for me, some of the more interesting ones were the hybrid CVs, which might be a controversial opinion a little bit. But they're definitely, like, if you look at what their planes can do versus CV planes, they're not really in the same league at all.
No.
And,
I don't really mind them.
Some of them are, I mean, I didn't like Tone that much, but it's still a fairly capable cruiser. And I think the Kearsarge was probably the most fun one of them overall, just because it's actually got some very capable firepower. And the main price you pay for having those planes available is that rather hideously vulnerable armor scheme with the massive, the 5 head.
Yeah. I kind of like the Tony, though.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that was more personal preference. I think it was a perfectly capable cruiser. It's just...
But I'm using the planes more to spot those poor little DDs.
And of course, that's something we know might well change this year, is how plane spotting works. That's something they've talked about looking into.
Something interesting. In War Thunder, they've introduced now... So when you play naval battles, you actually have catapult fighters you can use. And those have the ability to lay down smoke screen. And you can like go back to your ship and do the same. It feels like World of Warships, but you actually have a smoke screen with your planes now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. So I wonder if they're going to add that at all.
This is kind of a sideways thing in terms of, but it sort of fits into the theme of highlights and lowlights. I did see the thing with War Thunder where where Gaijin... there was a code that was supposed to be for new people that gave some days of premium. Yeah. And they accidentally put that into a code that went to everybody. So everybody got like a week of premium. And the sensible thing would have been to shrug and go, oh, well, okay, enjoy your week of free premium, everybody. Instead, what they did was they then took it back off everybody that had gotten it accidentally. And... essentially put people's accounts into deficit. So if they were then to buy some premium time, it would essentially vanish into this deficit that they had artificially created of premium time. So you would end up you're not just buying a couple of days of premium. No, 1 or 2 days of that will disappear into this supposed thing, this supposed debit hole that they themselves created. So yeah, that caused a bit of a stink in the community.
Yeah, they've been pretty quiet about it as well on the CC Discord. They haven't said anything. A lot of people asked them like, "What the hell happened there?"
that was one hell of an own goal, really.
Yeah. I used the code as well, and it worked for me. And I've been playing the game since 2013, so I'm not a new player. So yes, it did work. I'm not sure if they withdraw the premium time again, but I kept the vehicle at least.
It's certainly. I think the vehicle was always supposed to be, but I don't know. Like, I'm vaguely going off what I've read about.
It was supposed to be for only new players, but
so they just kind of completely mucked it up and then chose among the worst possible responses to it.
I mean, it's basically they screwed up and gave people something for free that they shouldn't have, and then they decided, so why let's charge those people money for what they accidentally redeemed. And that's like, I'm not even sure if that's legal, but it's just so incredibly stupid and petty.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's bad customer support.
Indeed. Anyway, talking of incredibly stupid and petty, let's get back to Wargaming.
Wargaming, yay!
Well, I mean, besides new ships that came out last year, there was obviously the first big change last year was the captain rework, that I feel like is still not finished. It was once again such a thing that was just completely rushed out, not really thought through, not properly tested, and they probably just did it to be ready for submarines. And it's like they made some changes then later on, but honestly, I mean, that there's still a lot of changes that should happen and a lot of balancing when it comes to captain skills, I think.
It almost feels to me like the carrier rework at the point where they were like, yeah, okay, this is ready for release. It still felt like only 3/4 finished, and that's exactly the feeling I got with the captain skills as well. Like the principle, I think, was quite sound of having the individual skill tabs for the different classes. But then the implementation of the actual individual skills, it really screwed some subtypes of some classes.
Did it nerf the RPG at the same time? Or was that before? When they reduced the fire chance of the RPG skill?
That was before.
I think that was already.
That was before?
Okay. Previously, yeah.
Because that's the one I felt hurt the most.
Yeah, that screwed some ships over. It was also not a change that was thought out thoroughly, because it wasn't possibly needed on a few ships but not on others. So because a few ships might have had the skill to effect if they then nerfed it for everyone.
Is more balanced now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
actually. So I can agree on that nerf.
With the captain rework, at least they made it also like different amount of points for different ship classes, which makes sense. But yeah, well, once again, I mean, they could have also had different values for different. I mean, it just comes down to the point that Wargaming is just not very good at balancing, I guess.
Oh, you don't say.
Shocking news.
Shocking news. Mort 9.
Then
we finally got a nerfed Cesar though, with the Russian one. The 6th one.
Yeah.
Wasn't that almost the same as the one we tested back when we were CCs? When we were about to get ourselves a new Cesar, a balanced one.
Can't remember.
I remember playing
Going too far back for my poor old brain.
It's like a year ago. Fake. I remember the stupid low health pool though. From that. What's it called, the new Russian thing? It was
Is it like it's like Novorossiysk or something? Let me bring it up. I definitely butchered that.
Let's see here.
Everyone's going to be tutting at me now.
I'm not sure if it's in Wiki yet. No. Oh, there it is. I don't know. Novorossiysk. I'll copy paste it into chat. There we go. Oh wait. That's how you say it.
I don't think I've even played the.
I played one game in it.
I mean, it has HE rather than SAP, and otherwise it's
It's not that bad actually, but
it
does like health. It does like the health pool, but it's not a beginner ship. And if you're bottom tier, you're kind of fucked by tier rates.
You're always bottom tier. That's a plot twist.
Yeah. I don't feel tier 6 is that bad anymore. Now tier 7 is a new bottom tier for me.
We have had some, like, I have liked that we've had some more mid and low tier premiums coming in. Because that felt neglected for a really long time. And of course, that's where a lot of actual historical ships would fit. So, I mean, things like, the Repulse obviously is the most recent example.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to see ships that actually existed and those kind of interwar World War II designs coming in.
I mean, we will see if we see more of that this year.
I'll try again now. Novorossiysk. There we go. Novorossiysk. Yeah, let's say it's that.
I'm not even gonna try.
So what else did we have? Agincourt. We had Agincourt. That was quite fun.
Yeah, but wasn't that the ship that was in loot boxes only?
Can't remember. Was it? I got it. I can't remember how I bought it though. But was I still a CC at that point?
Maybe we were still CCs, right? It's like that's tier 5 secondary ship, and I think it was pretty nice fun ship, but loot box only.
Yeah, it was loot box only. Yeah, that's right. And I think Boom got it somehow. Boomfunk. He has a ship as well, and he got it like maybe from a super, maybe because he didn't get it back. Yeah,
possibly. It's not like Wargaming has been shy on offering loot boxes since then.
Yeah, we actually have more news of a new loot box coming in one of the dev blogs, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm. I saw a picture.
Obviously. Which I guess brings us to other lows. I mean, we had the whole...
the CC Exodus was probably the lowest point. By far.
I don't think it can get lower than that.
I mean, it followed with a lot of promises that some of them have been sort of kept. They said, for example, they would rework the CC program, then in the month following, they obviously never did, and just now hope everyone has forgotten, which is... I mean, the biggest thing that came from it, I guess, are the odds now on loot boxes, which is great.
And that's really the biggest overall positive from a player point of view from the last, or consumer point of view from 2021.
True. But I mean, now they are just offering bundles with Tech 2 ships that they claim at discounts, which is probably not quite legal. Because they haven't offered the single, it can't be a discount if the other items have never been on sale for full price. They don't even have a price.
Sadly, that's a very common...
yes.
It's a common gray zone, so to say. I'm not sure how they come up with numbers. I'm guessing they have an average no price something, and then let's slap a discount on it.
I mean, they have an internal pricing, I guess. They say like a Tallinn is worth 7,000 doubloons. And then they claim they are selling it for a discount.
Yeah.
And now we've gone from, the Talon to the Albemarle, so clearly this is a thing they plan to keep doing, which is absolutely not, that's, no, just no Wargaming.
No.
If you're going to sell the camos that have been previously available in the preview event, then just sell the camos. Don't stick them in bundles that are inflated with tech tree ships, for God's sake. That's not okay. That's just kind of scuzzy.
Yeah, I mean...
It definitely feels like since the CC walkout and Mousegate that, there was some progress out of that, but then, I kind of feel like it's hit a plateau very quickly, that there hasn't really been any
they've forgotten all about it.
Change. Because they were going to do some kind of what was it? They were going to have like an internal plan in place by like November, and I don't think we really have heard anything about any of that really. So that's all just kind of still.
Yeah, that has been completely forgotten again. The only thing they really honored is the loot, like the drop rates and loot boxes.
Yeah.
And then they sort of said they wanted to increase communication. I mean, they are writing longer explanation on the dev blog. But as we've like when we went through the sub dev blog like last week, it's basically a propaganda piece, or
they were trying to present a particular picture.
Yeah,
with the stats that they had decided to share, or the charts and the data they decided to share, which wasn't necessarily, the true picture.
Yeah.
And they very well, they always highlighted that whenever they listened to the community, that the community was wrong, which is a lie. But they tried in the devlog to always like jab towards the community and like, oh, look, we introduced this because of community feedback, and our data shows you were all completely wrong. And it's like, no, really, your data doesn't show that, and we were not wrong. But it's like they at least, it just feels like they don't really want to change. They're now trying to better hide the stuff in a way, right? They say like, okay, we don't want to stop being evil, but maybe we should get a better propaganda out so that some people don't realize we are evil.
Evil might be too strong, but kind of, yeah. I think they are just hoping that everyone's got short enough memory that they'll be like, oh, okay, everything's back to normal now, it's fine.
Giving them enough controversies and they'll forget all about it.
Mm.
That's what Wargaming has been doing it for years. Oh, we did a big fuck up. Let's put a bunch of other smaller fuck ups and then forgot about the big one. PR disaster comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, people seem to have rather short memories, right?
Yeah. Right. What is that? No, sit down, little kid. Let me tell you a story.
About what happened last month.
Yeah, but last month. Oh, you mean last week, yeah. Well, last year.
Yeah.
2022 now.
I mean, I guess those were the biggest things last. Well, there was one sort of good thing is they finally introduced that you can see in your UI when skills are active, which I would say should have been part of the Captain rework. It was sort of they delivered a part of the Captain rework a few months late. And it's always with when companies do this, I'm sort of torn, because on one hand it's a good thing that they delivered it. On the other hand, it was something that was basically just months late and should have been included first. It's like, do you praise a company, be like, oh yes, it's so nice that you include something that we've all been asked for years, or do you like, it should have been there all along, right?
Mm.
It's
arguably, yeah, it certainly was a big improvement in terms of the information that players get.
Goes for a lot of things as well from Wargaming. They are way too late with it. So should you really praise them because they use like 2 years to implement it? Right.
It's like weird, because if you then don't praise them, they're like, oh, okay, see it, you didn't want it. The Wargaming is like, nobody cared that we finally did it. If you aren't happy, then no, you don't need to do it in the future. But if you say like, oh, it's so amazing that you did this, then you'll be like, encouraging them to, it sounds like you're okay that they just didn't have it for years before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can now now that we are finally pressed enough, we can start with the new dev blogs.
I mean, there was some other stuff that we didn't really like. We like subs and super chips and things, but yeah, we probably should get onto the dev vlogs at this point.
Well, we can talk about super stuff when we come to the new super stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
It's sort of the first thing here on the list, I guess. It's new ships. I mean,
more ships.
The first ship is the Japanese cruiser Maya. Now,
I also like it.
We kind of have in the game already as the ARP Maya, but this is going to be a different configuration from what I'm reading.
I mean, is Maya like an actual ship name? Because isn't it like just...
No, it's not Tago class. No, Taco class, I mean.
Yeah, Takao class.
Isn't it just
Takao.
like named after an anime character or something? Like, or have they just taken an anime ship and decided,
I'm
like, you know what?
Sure, that's a real ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember people Angry Historians was kind of mad when we finally got ARP Maya. But
it was a
we're finally getting a
copy-paste.
historical one, and it's
Yeah.
just a copy-paste ship, and it's a weeb ship instead of a proper ship.
So now it's going to be a proper ship, and it's actually going to be in a historical configuration, and not just a copy-paste.
Yes, and I already like it. There's an Atago at tier 7. Well, maybe not. I'm not sure about the top angles and so on, but doesn't say anything about it. It just says it has better torps, but
it also says she has a main battery reload booster, repair party, and fighter consumer. Oh wait, we do have ship parameters.
Oh, we do, yeah. Look at that.
I mean, how are you gonna balance an Atago at tier 7 with a heal and a reload booster?
I mean, going by how they've done it historically, I mean, the reload time at the moment, 15 seconds. Is that the same as the... that's actually slightly faster. Atago has 16 seconds, and I guess...
Yeah, 16, yeah.
So maybe they will make that a bit higher, or they might reduce the range even more, because that's about 500 meters less than the Atago has.
Atago had 5 turrets though, right?
It's got 3 at the front, 2 at the back. Yeah,
and Maya only has 4. I guess this is where the balancing comes in.
There's 5 turrets on, 5 turrets.
Oh, and it only has 8-kilometer range torpedoes, I guess, although they're pretty fast.
76 knots, yeah, for a cruiser that is very fast, actually.
So the thing is, though, with Japanese cruisers, is how good is the angles on those torps?
Yeah.
That's super important. That's what made the Atago so damn good. Because you have the frontal torp tubes, they had that angle forwards, which means that you can stay angled for more.
It's kind of an awkward angle to look at from the picture, but to be honest, the cutouts for the torp tubes look pretty much the same. So I would guess they would be the same unless they've artificially limited it.
It's my hopes, because Atago, one of my favorite ships in the game, and if I can get that at tier 7 as well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, a cruiser with heal at tier 7, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not many of them, and they mostly have a pretty terrible range in comparison to everything else. I mean, it's what, Boise and Neve de Julio?
When it comes to hit points, it's 40,000 for the Atago, and it's 39 for the Maya? Yeah, 39,200, so...
Right.
Well, Atago is kind of low compared to other tier 8s, isn't it? Let's see.
It's, I mean, Atago's about on the par with the Miyako, I think. There are
checking the Mogami. Well. The Mogami has hit points 35,500 actually. So yeah, that's Mogami though.
I don't remember what else has a heal. It's also tier 7. Obviously Fiji and Surrey. I mean, doesn't one of the Italian premium ones also have a heal?
Abruzzi.
Yes.
Another favorite of mine. A good nerf by FG.
That's actually got decent range, 15.1 kilometers. Okay, so that's definitely the best of all the ships with a heal at that tier.
Mm.
I mean, it still needs testing, but it does seem slightly too strong to me, right? At 39,000 hit points, a heal, a reload booster. I mean, reasonable range, torpedoes.
It will be less stealthy. It will definitely be less stealthy because it won't have access to that tier 8 concealment slot.
I mean, true, but 12-8 base concealment. And you get, 10% from the captain.
Yeah, it's still going to be pretty decent. It's not going to be... you're not going to get it sub 10 kilometers like the Atago, but it's not going to be a lighthouse.
You won't stealth, Tom.
Yeah.
No.
How much is the Fiji now again? It's like 9.2, 9.7.
Check. Pretty sure Fiji is sub 10 as well.
Yeah.
Just over 10.1.
Yeah, and then you have the Abruzzi, which is less than that again, I think. I think the Abruzzi is like one of the lowest ones. Well, it's the lowest one.
9.7. Yeah, Atlanta's also at that tier. I don't think Atlanta gets to less than 10. 9.6.
I would say it's above average conceal on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ships at that tier that are like 12-ish kilometers, even with the captain concealment. Surrey's 9.7. Boise is 10.4.
Yeah, Maya should be like 11.5 or so, I guess, with the captain armor.
Munchen's 9.4. I didn't remember it being that good, but I suppose that also has a very short main battery range. Oh, actually, no, it's 16.6. It's the Weimar.
That is,
yeah.
That's pretty
good. Weimar's the opposite. It's got like 11.5 kilometers concealment and only 14 kilometers of main battery range. I always get those two mixed up.
Weimar can be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like weird things, okay.
Anyway, so yeah, that should be interesting. There's also two for the American history fans, and there's been some speculation I've seen on certainly on Reddit as to whether this will have anything to do with maybe a split in US carrier lines. So we're going to get Hornet and Yorktown added as US carriers at Tier 8. So it'll be interesting to see how they differ from each other.
I mean, it's weird that they'd add 2 Tier 8 carriers, US 8 carriers at the same time. It's like, why?
Well, they're both Yorktown class carriers, so I don't know. I mean, if they're adding them both at Tier 8, it does make one wonder if one of them's going to be a tech tree and the other's going to be a premium.
But if
the speculation is coming from.
But if they do a split, they'd need to add more than just, that
yeah, they would need another Tier 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if they
Tier 10 that they mentioned.
Like, if they make a new line or a split, it's not uncommon that they then introduce a new premium that more synergizes with whatever gimmick the new line has, but this just seems weird.
There's already 4 Tier 8 US CVs. You have the Lexington, Enterprise, Saipan, and Saipan Black, obviously.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be, was it Yorktown?
Hornet and Yorktown.
Yeah. I mean, Hornet's the one they've got pictured, so I'm guessing Hornet's going to be the premium, and then Yorktown itself will be the other one. Possibly the tech tree. I'm assuming, though, I mean, when they say Yorktown and Hornet, that they're both going to be the Yorktown class, because there was then CV-10, which was an Essex class, which was named after the previous Yorktown, which was CV-5, which was sunk during World War II. But I can't see them putting an Essex class at Tier 8. I mean, it was previously the Essex class at Tier 9, right, when we had the 10-tier thing. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what they'll do. They'll dig out the previous Essex class model and go, well, here's going to be the Tier 10.
Maybe they're actually introducing Tier 9s, but they haven't said anything about it.
That would be kind of a big change, though. Even Tier.
Yeah, but we've been waiting for it for a long time, so now you know how it works, right? So you're gonna add it, and we're gonna praise them for adding it finally. But you shouldn't add.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it would make more sense that, like, you could maybe make an argument that you could have a Tier 9 odd tier, like even if you didn't have any lower tier odd tier carriers, that you could still have Tier 9 carriers. I don't know, maybe, but that's just utter and pure speculation, though.
Clyde, no sane person is going to praise them for adding Tier 9 carriers. Nobody wants any other carrier in this game.
That's one of the nice things at the moment.
Maybe Grunty.
Yeah, but I mean, very few people would be happy with anything more that has planes in this game.
Yeah.
So then we come to even more carriers.
Yay!
Super carriers.
It's like somebody asked the question, how can we make carriers more toxic? And they found an answer. It's so
we're going to have HMS Eagle, but not the original HMS Eagle. It's going to be the Audacious class HMS Eagle. Which, it's weird that they made it HMS Eagle and not HMS Ark Royal, but I suppose we already have... Like, that might get confusing. I don't know. But
let's not do that, because how many times have they said that and changed the name of things because the community might get confused, and then they do it anyways with certain ships. Like, we have the Vampire 2, for example. But they didn't want to do that before. I remember we asked about Vampire, but we already have a Vampire in game, so you can't add one more. People can get confused. That's why they changed the name of the Shikishima, because it was close to, was it the Sal? No? It was another ship it was almost related to.
I can't remember.
Well, what was the original Shikishima name? I don't even remember that one.
I can't remember now. But it was at least, they changed the name because, it's not similar to this other one, but you have like the same named ships in the game, like the Daring and Daring 2. No, a Vampire and Vampire 2.
Harikaze and Harikaze 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're gonna get Mayas, 2 Mayas now. And we have, 7 Miyokos? I don't see a big issue with that. Biggest Yamato, yeah.
Well, I mean, far more concerning than the name, though, is probably going to be the gameplay. So the way that I understand this, right, these new carriers have 2 types of squadrons. They have the normal planes, like a normal carrier, and then they have the jet planes that work like the planes on hybrid ships, right? So it's basically just a cooldown and you can launch them. So they have insanely fucking overpowered planes on, I don't know, a cooldown that's not yet defined. And meanwhile, they have the regular planes. So even if you as a carrier player are so incredibly bad that you like deplete all of your squadrons that regenerate anyway, you always have your consumable full squadron of overpowered planes that you can launch in between. Those completely balanced new jet planes, as we can see with the tech aircraft, goes up to like 340 knots. So basically, they are going to be too fast for any anti-air to touch, because as all of Warships works, right? If your anti-air isn't shooting, your gunners are actively unloading the guns. So every time a plane goes into your range, they have to start loading the guns and can't immediately shoot, right? So if a plane's fast enough, it's just gonna be through your anti-air before they even manage loading the gun. Not to mention that when you start, like I think the attack thing, when you go down in your attack move, for instance, you have a small invulnerability period where you can't actually lose planes. So basically, they are probably gonna be pretty much immune to anti-air.
It's basically a free extra Soviet carrier with just like the single strike. I mean, presumably it's going to be less in terms of the number of planes you're putting up, but yeah, it's I don't. How was this ever going to be popular with anybody? I mean, it's a bit nuts, to be honest, and the fact that we're getting jet planes along back with it is making it even more nuts. I mean, once upon a time, way back when, in the early days of the game, the tier 10, I think both the Japanese and American tier 10 carriers.
I think it was only
okay, had jet planes, but you're going way back to the early days of the game, and I think everyone just kind of assumed and hoped we wouldn't ever see them again, but no.
I'm trying to figure out if it's the same planes. I'm not sure which model this is according to the vlog here, but
I mean, there are actually like small YouTube videos where you can watch them, the planes in action.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
that's gonna probably be super loud for me. Oh.
It's
Grumman. Oh, it's an F9Fs. I can't remember which one they had in Midway back in the days.
No idea.
So it's F9Fs. Let's see. Can we actually Google our way back? I'm not sure what to Google jet planes in beta.
I mean, the thing is, there are small differences with how the jet planes work. Basically, they say they cannot slow down to below cruising speed. I mean, you don't really want your planes to be slow, so I don't see how this is going to be an issue. And the engine boost doesn't regenerate, but the good news is that basically in one boost they can go through the entire map anyway, because they're so fast. If they're fully boosted, as they're like the attack aircraft, they are 340 knots. So Wargaming says it enables them to cover considerable distance quickly, no shit, and make lightning-fast attacks on enemy ships. It's not like carriers have that much downtime between strikes, especially oftentimes with the new Russians. It's like they just constantly keep planes coming at you anyway. It's you've barely got a second where you aren't under plane attack if they focus you, unless they're really at the other end of the map. So this isn't really like a new thing, it's just an even more annoying thing. It means that if the carrier is badly positioned, it can now also strike, no matter where it is, incredibly quick. It also means that at the start of... Well, okay, this might be on cooldown at the start of the game, since it works like the hybrids. Then again, we don't know. So if it's ready at the start of the game, it would mean that they can spot like 20 seconds in or so, they could have the entire enemy team spotted. So, yeah, they basically made new planes where anti-air is even more useless than it is right now, that can even spot faster than anything right now, that can reduce the amount of time you have between airstrikes. It's like anything they could have made more toxic with planes, they made more toxic.
So I'm
They're
looking
just
at...
so determined to have carriers and more stuff with carriers.
The funny thing is,
I don't know.
I was googling, about what Midway had as planes back in beta when I had jet planes, and I think I found one of the first rant videos about CVs in the game. This is the 30th of August 2015 by Fly Daily. Midway jet fighters, please fucking remove. And he's playing the Midway with the jet fighters there, but I can't see which plane it is. But this is probably one of the first videos about ranting about CVs.
Well, and the rants have never really stopped.
No. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the carriers will still be announced at a later date, I guess. But so far, I see nothing positive about this. Like, the thing is, we really don't need super carriers. And it's sort of breaking it's breaking into the uneven ship. I mean, super ships are sort of tier 11, right? So
it is tier 11. Super ships. It's tier 11.
Well, I mean, you could argue it could be tier 12, but they're treated as tier 11. So basically, tier 11 now have carriers, right? So now we have uneven tiers with carriers. I'm not really surprised that they're going to make super carriers, but I thought they'd give at least a year, But Wargaming is so out of touch with everyone that they probably thought that people would be excited.
But we're just a silent majority,
Yeah.
So we don't matter.
Oh, now I have even less reason to want to play higher tiers, and it's already a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it might just, I guess you can always play tier 8 and be safe from super ships.
So far, I've only tried the battleships, though. I haven't tried cruises and DDs yet.
Aren't like super ships coming to like random battles with the next patch?
I can't remember.
It was a very long time ago when they announced that they were testing super ships now in random battles, but I think it might be starting from next patch. Because, I think that the cynic in me is like, that's probably why they stopped testing submarines, because it would confuse the data if they test subs and super ships at the same time. So it might just be that they're now going for 2 patches, test super ships on random battles, and then they switch back to sub testing. That it hasn't anything to do with them actually being sane, but just that they are like, that will mock up, that will our spreadsheet might not be so great anymore if we test 2 things at the same time.
Yeah. I don't mind a 2 months break from the subs though. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'd rather have the super ships. I'd rather have the super ships, dude.
I'd take a 2-year break from the subs, I'd be happy. But I was fine with the super ships, and then I saw super carriers, and then I got super depressed.
Yeah, actually, I was okay with the super ships as well, because during the grand battle stuff, that was pretty fun, that event. And I didn't mind being a tier 10 versus a tier 11, or 12, or super ships. I don't know. That was just fun. They didn't feel like you just had more damage to do to them. Higher numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can't play tier 9, right, and then face tier 10s. So if you're tier 10 and you're facing a super ship, it's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not as extreme as is in World of Tanks with the tiers. So in World of Warships, while it's always annoying to be up-tiered, and certain tiers have, like, for example, the concealment module have a bigger impact than other tiers, overall, you can still do stuff as a low tier, right? Well, we'll see, I guess. But I think Wargaming just lost the plot. I'll be really interested just how much how they react to all the community feedback that they are going to get.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, besides the exciting news about super overpowered carriers, we have changes to the Panarius and to Panation cruisers. Are the Panation cruisers gonna come with the next patch? Or is it one patch after that?
Maybe we're gonna get the preview line, or what do you call it? Like the pre-release thing?
Yeah, but they have 2 patches of pre-release, right? And then they get released.
It might send the airship article. Here we go. Yeah. In update 11.1, early access to tier 5 to tier 10 Panation cruisers will continue.
Yeah, will continue. That means it will start. Yeah, that means it should. That's already part 2, right? That means part 1 should be with the next patch.
Yeah.
Wargaming has a weird way of numbering the patches, because I think we are now at 0, 10, 11. And I think after 0, 10, 11 comes 0, 11, 0. And then comes 0, 11, 1.
It took World of Tanks a really long time to decide they were going to get to past 1.0. So.
Yeah, but it's, usually you don't start from 0 to 11 and then go to the next number, right? It's.
I suppose. I don't know when they decide to go up a version number like that. Like, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of consistency.
I think they all have different measurements of that when they go up to 1.0.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I think, right, the next patch is going to be 0, 11, 0. Anyway. So
it's interesting that they're going to remove the burst fire completely, though. I don't know. I don't know if it was the intent to do that all along, or if they just decided it didn't fit.
I didn't know it had it even. When I read it today, but wait, it had that. But I only seen like 2 in a battle. Never fought one. So I had no idea what burst was. What was the function of it?
I think it was just like the
super ships.
I don't know how much it differs from like the main battery reload booster, functionally speaking. Like, I haven't gotten a chance to
do
it myself either. So
the burst fire basically is you shoot like 2 or 3 times at the same time almost, and then you go for a very long reload. So you lose.
It was like
just like a magazine. Yeah. Autoloader.
Basically, you gain on burst, but you lose on DPM. And you could switch, whenever your guns are reloaded, you could just switch to the auto fire, and then you use your auto fire.
That's basically like an autoloader. And an autoloader is like you have a magazine filled with a certain amount of shells. And when it's used that magazine, it takes a long time to reload that magazine again. But historically didn't have an auto reloader, did it?
Yeah.
Or did it? Did it exist? Madrinas?
Yes, it did. It's basically a modified town class British heavy cruiser.
So no autoloader.
No.
Because I don't think the Brits had a heavy cruiser with autoloader before.
No, I mean, there wasn't anything like that until the Des Moines, essentially.
Yeah, you only had a Tiger class with the autoloader.
Yeah, and
that's a light cruiser. That's
that was post-war, I believe.
Was it?
Tiger? Or was it end of World War
No,
II?
that's end of it. We have the Tiger. Tiger was, let's see, HMS Tiger. Yeah, where is it now? It was started at 41, so it's actually built in World War One. No, 2. But that's a light cruiser, anyways. It's a whole different field.
Yeah.
Compared to heavy cruisers like Des Moines.
It also like the burst fire is like not really working like an autoloader in that sense, because you don't have to decide when you load how it's gonna work. So you can choose when your guns are loaded, you can choose which mode you use, and if you use the burst mode, then you just shoot a couple of times really quickly, and then you go for a long reload. It's a bit of a weird thing, because since you have worse DPM with the burst mode, it's only ever useful if you think you only have a short opportunity to shoot something, right? Because the ship is going to go into smoke or behind an island, or you think you can finish it off. So unless you're certain that you like that salvo finishes it off, or you can't shoot afterwards anymore, you'll never want to use the burst mode.
It makes a lot less sense in World of Warships overall than War Tanks.
Yeah, unless you like stumble upon a bunch of DDs, Then it kind of.
There aren't that many circumstances where you would want to leave yourself without the ability to shoot for an extended period.
Yeah. I wonder what they're gonna do with it.
I mean, I like Wargaming. Like Wargaming is just incapable of ever they are incapable of admitting when they do something wrong or that they aren't great. So the new mechanic performed well, but it still requires a number of tweaks. That's why we removed it. So basically, they are tending, it's actually an amazing thing we did, but no, we will remove it because it doesn't work. But it's amazing. Trust me. Basically, it's great. It's so great, but no.
I like the fact that they've then given a significant boost to the range. I mean, that's going to be a pretty good range for a tier 6 heavy cruiser or any cruiser. So, that will be a lot more comfortable. We already have enough lightly armored cruisers at that tier with absolutely terrible range. So, yeah.
Flint comes to mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's not tier 6 though.
That's tier 7, but 16.5 is pretty good. It's also going to get an engine boost as a replacement, so they still want to stick some kind of gimmick on this ship, clearly.
Oh yes.
But yeah, it seems like it might end up being a really solid tier 6 heavy cruiser. Maybe less gimmicky now that it doesn't have that fire. Maybe that was why they removed it, because just nobody was using it.
Yeah, they haven't figured out how to make the burst fire kind of useful.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to ban, because they are very hesitant to change premium ships afterwards, I think they just dropped the mode that I have no idea how to do, and decided to just make a regular ship.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be 10-second reload instead of 15, 16.5 kilometers. That should be an interesting one to look forward to, and again, one for the history fans because it actually existed.
I actually need to Google this.
And we can finally ambush people with a Spanish ship.
Indeed.
Oh, the memes. Oh, there we go. There's pictures of it with colors.
It's got like the profile is like it does look very British cruiser. Apart from that very distinctive looking.
Well, a lot of the designs were based on naval design from the Brits.
Well, I mean, it was specifically bought as from a British yard as a variant of the existing town class.
Oh, looks good though.
Yeah. I'm also talking of tier 6 cruisers. HMS Eagle is getting a nerf of its reload from 6.5 5 to 8.5. Considering it's small caliber guns, that seems... Yeah, that's a
8.5.
long reload for a what is it, 127 mils, or whatever it is that it has. I can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, because the different versions of the different Dinos had different gun specs at different times, and I can't remember exactly which one they went with for the one in game. But yeah,
Dido is a light cruiser, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of sort of the British Atlanta, kind of.
Yeah, so you have the Dallas with 8.5 second reload.
Okay.
So yeah,
but it's I mean, they are smaller than 6-inch guns.
I mean,
we're talking millimeters here. How much is that in millimeters?
6-inch guns would be like 152 mils, and the Didos are around like 120, 127, if I remember correctly.
And what's the Leander reload? Leander reload is...
I mean, the interesting thing is, right, that the Dido is the same ship as the Ramad, right? Basically, the Ramad is a Dido class.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not surprising they've come out at the same time. They've double dipped on the same model, essentially.
Yeah, but it's interesting because that one has an increase in reload from 7 to 7.5. So
yeah,
basically it had a better reload than the Panation. I don't know, it has a worse reload then.
Anyway, we'll see how well that one turns out, but that certainly seems like a far less solid one to play than the Canarius, to be honest.
Yeah.
But just based on what we know about it.
Obviously, what everyone gets excited is that they've decided that the newest Tier 10 Russian massive cruiser needs a superheat. Because, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we haven't played any of those ships. We can't see how they're performing testing, but it's a big Russian cruiser with big guns, and now it gets a superheat.
So the guns are what size are the guns? Yeah.
Are they like 380s or something, I think?
So you have the Stalingrad, which is 305.
Yeah, this was the poll. It loses radar because they decided they need a bigger, better cruiser.
Yeah, so that's 380s versus Stalingrad at 305. What's the reload?
I wonder if it's on the House fitting tool.
So reload time increased from 70 to 200. Action time increased from 60 to 90. But they have reduced the consumables at least. But
yeah, I mean, it's because it's now a super heal, right? They basically doubled the amount it heals longer, but it also comes with a longer reload. And it heals more citadel damage. IP damage. So I don't know the value. Like, I mean, it only heals like 33% of citadel damage. I'm not sure
about the armor, but like I rarely get to use all of the heals on the cruiser anyways. They're usually dead before the last one is popped. So,
well, I mean, it's gonna be Russian, so
probably heavy armored.
Yeah, I expect it to be like Petro levels of tanky. I mean, imagine a Petro with better guns and super here, without the radar.
Yeah, they have actually Sevastopol stats on the wiki. I'm not sure if they're all up to date though.
Yeah, probably not the newest one. I have seen a few in battle, but never really in a duel or anything. I don't think I ever had a direct engagement with one.
The Madrinas and the Dido. That's the only ones I've seen in games so far.
I've seen an incomparable. That's probably the only notable thing I've seen in the last couple of weeks.
I've seen a few of those too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one ship where I'm that I might consider getting with steel, but well, depending on how it performs on release, I guess.
Sherman is losing a smoke charge. The next thing.
That was the Forrest Sherman, yeah.
I mean, it's a hydro DD, so it's probably gonna want hydro smoke combinations going for it.
Especially with it being US smoke.
Yeah. US smoke is rather powerful, so losing a charge is probably gonna hurt long term. Like in late games.
Yeah.
But hard to evaluate how good this ship is without having played it.
It's certainly, with that kind of change, though, I mean, that just means it would benefit even more from being in a division with somebody else that it can share smokes with.
Yeah, possibly.
Which is already true for something like the Friesland, for example.
Oh, yeah. I mean, also, like, the Friesland prefers to have somebody else spot, because its spotting isn't that great, I think. Then there are a number of changes to Panation cruisers. Well, hard to say how, but they look like a lot of nerfs.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly the reload times of being hit relatively hard.
Yeah, Sigma decreased at some point. Reload of main battery and smoke. But the tier 9 lost its hydro for some reason. Oh wait, there are 2 tier 9s. Was that one a premium, I guess?
Is it?
I think the Dalian, but I can't remember.
Probably. Because it's the only one that has a hydro removed, so.
See.
Well, generally speaking, they're not that bad, apart from like the chunking at tier 5 seems to get hit the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly half second.
I don't have much hope for this line now.
I mean, a line of light cruisers it's never going to be the most attractive unless they've got some really strong.
But I usually like cruisers, but last exciting cruiser line was the French line before they added the reload boosters, because then they had a good base reload. Then they nerfed the shit out the base reload to add the gimmick, you know. And then, so that was the pre-nerfed / buffed French line, cruiser line was the last fun cruiser line to play. The British line was kind of no, it's like 2-3 ships that was okay, and then Goliath. That's about it. But it seems like they're always pushing you to pre-XP to the lines just to get the tier 10, because everything below is bad or very boring. Kind of like the Dutch line. I feel like that's their progress with the lines lately. Make everything bad until tier 10. And then it's going to be, oh yeah, you should just free XP up there, dude, to end your suffering. I don't like.
I mean, it's always going to be a hard line to balance, light smoke cruisers.
Yeah.
After having decided that wasn't a good thing, they've then decided, actually, we'll just do a whole line of them. It's fine.
Remember when they added Belfast? Cruiser line with smoke and radar.
Well, I mean, at least those won't have radar.
One of the first fuck-ups. Well, one of the first. Then,
in comparable, had its reload time increased by 1 second. I don't think that's gonna do much. And they removed anti-air guns from the poison. Apparently, I mean, I would be shocked if that thing shot down any planes, but apparently even one plane is too much, so they've decided, anti-air has to go.
Every time they nerf AA, I don't get it. I think the only AA effective ships we have is like Holland and Småland and the Friesland, Groningen.
Yeah, but even they can be easily taken out by
invulnerable. So I don't get the whole fucking nerfing AA at all in this game. Well, nothing is really anti-air in this game. This is just just hurt them a little bit. Even me, as a non-CV main, I managed to do a strike on a Holland with a midway. I did like 6k to him.
Yeah, I mean, like the numbers on the prison weren't exactly nutty to begin with, so it doesn't I don't know. That one doesn't really make any sense on the face of it.
Well, that won't be the first though, Pointy.
I mean, it could be like a token change because the poison is basically a Kurfürst with bigger guns, right?
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that the poison just outperforms the Kurfürst in every way. So a go-to for Wargaming is then to make it simple. And it says, oh, we nerf anti-air.
I bet, like, if you were on the CC Discord now, if you like searched for a term, this doesn't make sense. Let's see how many times a contributor said something about it. There's gonna be a lot of it. That is what the hell Wargaming.
Even when we were still CCs, it was sometimes quite difficult to get an answer as to why such and such a thing or such and such a change was happening.
No, you just type in the emote what Flambas can stand, which is basically the spreadsheet emote we had on the CC Discord. Wonder if that's still there after Flambas left.
Possibly.
What Flambas can stand? Spreadsheets. So that's probably the answer to this.
I mean, he mostly plays Tarkov anyway, and he's a lot happier for it.
He did actually do a Warships video the other day.
I did. Holy fuck. They're coming back, aren't they? Oh, yeah, so it's Italian destroyers as well. Fuck, I didn't see those.
Italian destroyers, yeah, they have been announced. They are they look like a weird line that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But basically, if you haven't seen the Italian this destroyers Clyde, they have very low range main battery guns. So, but I think very high caliber. So it's like I don't know, so like 8 kilometers at tier 10, something like that, along main gun range, right? But they have very bad concealment, and they have a creeping smoke screen, and they have torpedoes that are not suited for YOLO. So it's like they have YOLO guns, but not YOLO torps. Weird torps.
It is a very odd conception indeed.
Sorry, they've
picked different parts that make no sense and tape them together and be like, that's a line. And we'll see what comes from it.
Yeah.
The YOLO Emilio with all the YOLO taken out.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a gun YOLO line, right? Because you have to YOLO in if your guns want to shoot something.
That's a ship that does make sense for me. The YOLO Emilio. Either you die trying to YOLO or you just YOLO and then you go to the next match. It doesn't make sense. Like, the only way to do damage in that ship is to YOLO.
I don't have one, so...
Sometimes though you'll run into somebody that has one and like get worried because then they actually know what they're doing with it and can make it work, and then that can be a bit of an issue.
Didn't get the YOLO Emilio as a CC though?
No, I think it's like Research Bureau, and I don't have a single Research Bureau ship.
Wow. So I wasted my research point on that ship. Good to know. That's one of my least played ships. So that was a waste of points, apparently. Yay.
Well...
Is it over to the most exciting part, submarines? Or is that the next one? No, wait.
No. There was no update to submarines this week. We've covered submarines, basically.
We had.
Oh!
Last week's was all about subs, pretty much.
We ranted 2 hours about subs last week.
Okay. Conclusion is yay or nay?
Yes, submarines are a powered piece of shit that should never have seen the light of day.
Thank you. It's horrible playing DDs these days. Nothing is like you're sitting in smoke, you're shooting a guy, then suddenly you perma-spot through the smoke, but you don't know what by what. Then you go out of smoke, then there's a submarine down below you, but you can't do anything to him because your depth charge is in the back. And nobody's depth charging him, and you're getting shot the shit out because the submarine is spotting you, and you're dead.
Yeah. Fun all around.
I wonder if the devs are playing the game. I don't think they are.
You're playing carriers.
And subs.
Well, I mean, there is actually a new game mode called Airship Escort that's gonna be tested, which it's interesting. You have to escort a Zeppelin that can't be damaged, and basically you just have to be, I guess, in the right position below it. Also, you can sort of move it forward. It's like one of those, what are they called, payload or so in different games where you have an object that you have to move. I mean, the difference is it's not like one team trying to move it forward and the other team necessarily to stop it, but it's like both teams move their own thing forward, and whoever like moves it to the end first wins, the way I understand it.
I mean, it's sort of something we can say we've had in game, kind of in the form of I said the name of it before and I've forgotten. The Great Eastern, the one they use in the Halloween mode. That needs to have people close enough to keep it moving, kind of thing. Except obviously, of course, that can be sunk.
The Transylvania.
That's
Transylvania, yeah.
And of course, this is PvP, right? And both teams are trying to move something. So I mean, the thing is, it's an interesting idea. Obviously needs testing. We'll see if it works out or not. The interesting part, of course, is that on the one hand, you want to move your own thing forward, and on the other hand, you have to block the enemy. But Warships isn't a game with respawn or so what happens?
I do wonder how much it'll be like the convoy mode test, where it does end up predominantly becoming, the two teams fighting it out rather than the convoy actually ever getting that close to the exit. Or at least it was in my experience. It was very rare that the convoy got that close. It was usually the teams just fighting each other.
I mean, convoy was extremely badly balanced, and this, on the other hand, is because it's like symmetrical. It's inherently balanced in that regard.
Yeah, true.
So they've basically stopped the problem of balancing by just going symmetrically. The question, of course, is exactly how it's going to play out and how are the maps going to be designed. Well, when I look at this one map here, this is rather interesting because you have those islands where you do the early fighting, I guess. And then you move into an open stretch and into very close quarters in here. So it's hard for me to predict without playing this and testing it if this is gonna be fun or if it's just gonna end up the same way every time. And it also depends to see how people aren't necessarily the best at tactics, right?
Yeah, assuming people are going to be able to, like a group of random players are going to be able to coordinate somehow, which is an iffy proposition sometimes. There's always the things with these random modes that require some level of teamwork. Like even things like operations, sometimes you get people doing completely off-the-wall things that can end up screwing everybody else. And that's versus a bunch of bots going in a very predefined, preset pattern.
But with that, I kind of need to go now. But I would just like the convoy mode. I actually enjoy the convoy mode a lot. The symmetrical one, I didn't try the asymmetrical. But the latest one we tested, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's asymmetrical in the sense that one team defends and one attacks.
Yeah, I like that. I actually kind of enjoy that. I played it with Mac a lot. But it was kind of easy to ruffle stomp the teams, though. It was kind of very one-sided, but it had fun, I guess.
It was extremely badly balanced because usually the
defending team.
The defender just wins, right?
Yeah.
And it could have been a fun mode, and there was a lot of fun brawling in there, but it was the convoy mode was just the path that, for example, the convoy took was just so incredibly stupid. The map. There are some maps where you could have balanced it a lot better by just flipping the start and the end point and keeping the same path. Because Wargaming had absolutely no idea how the game works and probably haven't played their own game mode ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, since today, well, here's Cosmo, by the way. He's kind of bigger since that picture you have there. Jesus, he's huge. But yeah, since I got the times wrong, since oh god, Pointy kind of said 7:30.
Yeah, well, that's just because
And in Norway that means 6:30.
Weird language as opposed to the completely logical language that is English.
Yeah. So I'm sorry that I had to leave a little bit early then.
No problem. I think we've almost covered most of it anyway. So
yeah. So thanks for having me again, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for joining us, Clyde.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, dudes. Bye.
Yeah.
So is there much more to say about that? I mean, we don't know if subs are going to be allowed into that, which might significantly change the maths. The fact that it's tier 10 only ships means that we'll have some fairly powerful torpedoes and guns in play, potentially.
It's without testing it, I think I'm intrigued, right? That the thing is, new game modes are always fun, and I'm fully behind testing it, even if it turns out it's not fun or if it's not working or whatever. I'm fully behind, like, just coming up with new ideas and testing them, and then maybe even implementing them into the game fully, so we have some different things to play. So I'm looking forward to it, and we will see if it works out or not.
That part we can definitely be positive about. That
Yeah,
we're going to try new stuff. That's what we want. We want new things to play with.
More of this, less of subs and super carriers.
Yes.
And I mean, since those are mighty zeppelins, I wouldn't mind if they just drop bombs if an enemy says below them. And they say Kirov reporting.
Somebody somewhere is, well, I really hope they do anyway, is going to come up with a mod that changes those to the Kirov airship from Red Alert.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they would run into copyright issues if they do it themselves, but modders could. Yeah. Unless they are planning, a collab.
Would be kind of awesome, but I mean, there hasn't been. When's the last time there was a new game? Like, obviously there was the remasters of the original.
Yeah.
Command and Conquer and Red Alert, but
Red Alert 3 has been a long time.
Yeah, they kind of killed the franchise with oh god, what was it? Was it Command and Conquer 4?
Yeah, that's the Tiberium one where you had this weird crawler thing. They basically decided, hey, how about we use the concept that everybody loves and not use it and change everything into something weird that nobody likes.
Just EA being EA. I mean, they did the exact same thing with the SimCity series as well. They just
and I think then their answer was like, hey, nobody liked what we did last, so how about we bring it back as a mobile?
Yeah, that seems to be the way these days. Sadly. Anyway, so the next part on this article is concerning the part 2 of the Panation event. So this is slated for update 11.1. So we're assuming part 1 will be the 11.0 patch.
Yes.
And it's going to improve the Dragon ports. I'm assuming this is kind of tied into their general improvement of graphics of ports anyway.
Yeah.
They just decided that would be a good time to do the Dragon port. And to be fair, I quite like that port. It's one of the more interesting, looking ones.
I mean, it's interesting that they aren't bringing it with part 1, but maybe they just didn't have enough time for it. So now with part 2, we are getting a reworked Dragon port. And it does look kind of beautiful.
Certainly be interesting to see how it looks with new lighting effects going on. Although I kind of wish it was more of a nighttime. Like, it looks kind of dusty, but if it was a properly nighttime map, I think that would look very nice.
Yeah, it looks like that it's a lot of it just being dark clouds, but I'm not sure why they are so against nighttime things. It's not. They don't necessarily have to rework how the game works. They just have to adjust the light a little bit and make it slightly darker. It doesn't it doesn't need to be a full night battle, and they don't need to rework all of the mechanics for it. It's just like visuals, right? But for some reason they kind of don't want it. I guess it would be too popular with the player base, so they try to avoid pleasing people.
Someone will mod it, I'm sure. There's already mods that turn various ports into night versions. So we'll see what happens with that as well. It did, I mean, one thing they have, one notable change is the dragon is now becoming, I don't know if that's supposed to be, why is that material supposed to be like jade or something? Because for a while it was quite glowy, and then they've obviously toned that down quite a lot. So now that just like seems like a solid lump of some mineral.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like just ice.
What's the current dragon port? Yeah, that's all red and not as glowy as it's been previously, but it's got some glowy parts. So I'm not quite sure why they've changed that, because that makes quite a nice kind of standout feature, and the fact that it's now changing to this kind of bluish whatever it is material definitely makes it seem a lot more muted overall.
I feel like it could be ice.
Maybe. I don't know if ice would particularly make sense, but it could be.
I mean, giant dragon doesn't necessarily make sense, you know.
What are you talking about? Because it's completely realistic.
Playable dragons next year.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see that map with better lighting. Well, it's already got quite nice lighting, so I don't know. I'll see how I feel about the color change. Hopefully, it's
yeah.
Hopefully the modders do something nice with it, because I'm not sure how I feel about that at all. So we have some economy changes, which are quite, I don't know about significant, if that's quite the right word, but when we were talking earlier about things feeling half polished with things, I talked about the carrier rework feeling half polished. I mean, one of the big things that came with the changes is that the kind of like spotting, that there wasn't really much rewards, or if any reward, for doing damage to planes. It was only killing planes, and that became much less impactful anyway with the way that the carrier reserves changed. So they're actually now going to give economic rewards for destroying aircraft and doing damage to aircraft.
Yes.
The reward for destroying aircraft is distributed in the same way as the reward for damaging and destroying ships. Now, part of the credits in XP will be credited not only for shooting down aircraft, but also dealing damage to them. So it sounds like it's not going to increase overall, but they're going to change the way, like you'll maybe get less XP and credits for shooting down aircraft, but more for having done damage. And it's perfectly possible to have 20,000 DPS damage done to an aircraft on your little thing, and then have only shot down like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're the anti-air ship, you get the majority of the experience, and not the ship next that does the last hit gets all of the XP, which is a good change. The thing is, what I think, what I find a little bit interesting is that they say on average the number of resources will not change, which could be a lie, what I'm hoping it is. Because let's be honest, a lot of the times planes escape and you do damage to them, you get nothing for it. So they have to reduce the overall XP you get, even if you do 100% of damage to a plane and shoot it down. Like, generally with a change like this, you'd expect the average XP to increase, because now everybody who does damage still gets rewarded, even if the planes survive, right? So unless they reduce the amount of experience you get totally for completely damaging and shooting down a plane, this has to go up. So I'm not sure how I read this last sentence.
It's not really that clear. I mean, unless they are dramatically reducing the amount that you get for the plane kills in order to spread that out amongst the plane damage instead. But inevitably, there's going to be way more people that do plane damage than actually get plane kills. So I don't know how they avoid the overall amount going up, even if it's not by that much.
I mean, they'd have to reduce the like right now you get X amount for a plane kill, and then afterwards if X amount and they divide it between plane kill and damage, then the overall amount will go up, right? Because now you get damage because there will be always damaged planes that not get killed. So they'd have to reduce the amount you get for a plane.
this is one of those areas where actually we could have done with some hard numbers, or at least some preliminary
or an
numbers
example.
to have some idea of how they're going to change things exactly.
It's the thing is that that's what they often do, right? They describe a situation and then they come up with a conclusion that doesn't fit the description, and then you are left wondering which part of the statement is true.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's probably not going to do too much overall.
So then, the next part is, well, I'll let you.
That they'll redistribute the experience earned by carriers. Basically, kills are going to be rewarded more because with ranked, it was just like carriers were always on top because carriers are just more powerful than other ships. So the answer to that was not balance carriers, but basically make carriers earn less experience so that other ships could save their star, that it wasn't like play carrier or go home in rank. But that led to the fact that carriers are very rarely on the top of the board. And now it looks like they want to address it in giving carriers not more for damage, but more for kills. So they want to encourage carriers to finish off wounded targets, basically.
Which is, like, I don't know if that's necessarily a change I like the sound of, to be honest. Getting carriers to, like, okay, taking guns out of the game can be important, but if a carrier is going to be concentrated purely on hounding the low health targets, like, that's going to be really, really, like, being on the receiving end of that. If you get down to low health and you know that suddenly the carrier is going to be extra interested in you because it'll be worth more to them on the score screen. Yeah, I don't know if I like the idea of that.
I mean, the thing is, that's basically good play, right? What this would make is it would make bad carrier players potentially play better. Problem is that good carrier play is just very toxic, basically very annoying to deal with. So they are making a change that generally would encourage carrier players to do the right thing, which is obviously not a good thing if you're playing against the carrier because of how carriers are designed in general.
Yeah. Because it's not something you can't really defend yourself effectively in that situation, as you could try and disengage against a surface ship. You just don't have that option when it comes to carriers. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. But that is, I fully admit that's just because being targeted by carriers is to me just, like, not fun. It's like in World of Tanks when an artillery just fires at you over and over again. It might be the right thing for them to do in terms of the overall situation of the game, but it also can make for a really miserable experience if you're on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, good gameplay doesn't always necessarily translate to,
more enjoyable gaming experience.
Yeah, enjoyable gameplay.
It's because carriers are just not balanced, so...
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it might not have that big of an impact overall in terms of how people play. We know a lot of people don't pay attention to these kind of changes, this kind of information. The amount of players that read dev was probably not that high.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It might not change anything in reality. Well, and then they changed some ammunition resupply costs, which I don't know. I have no idea how this will affect anything. Probably not an awful lot.
Yeah, it does seem a bit of an odd one. Like, I'm not sure why they... Again, it would be nice to know the reasoning why they felt this was necessary. That it's not going to be the number of planes lost, but the amount of ammunition used, which, okay. I guess they can somehow know how much, like 50 caliber ammo or whatever the planes are firing somehow. Or they've. I don't even know. I don't know how they would calculate that, and I don't know why it makes sense to them to make that change. But it's a change they're making apparently. And you also have to, I guess this isn't a thing at the moment, but it says alongside that, credits will be spent for resupplying depth charges used in battle. So they're going to have an ammo cost associated with them now as well.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it doesn't make that much sense because, if a plane doesn't return, you have to replace the plane, which would be a lot more expensive than replacing the ammunition. But I guess they don't want to punish carriers for throwing away their aircraft. It's basically just a change that means that bad carrier players will have to pay less credit.
It might purely be that. I don't know.
If you just throw all of your planes away into flak or something, then that's gonna be very expensive right now. But afterwards, it's gonna be cheaper because you don't even get to attack with those planes, so you don't pay anything for it. But I don't know. I don't even know how many people struggle with credits for their resupply or anything. But yeah, basically, it's a buff to bad carrier planes.
Kind of reminded me of that meme of was it Gordon Ramsay, and you've got the one panel where he's got the bread on somebody and calling them a Muppet sandwich, and then the other he's consoling the kid and going, "Oh baby, oh precious." And, that's the carrier players, and the top panel is everyone else. It might just be a tweak to I don't know, try and keep the spreadsheet happy to keep the number of carrier players at where they want it to be.
Possible. And then they have announced the next ranked battle season.
Which has no carriers.
No, wait, that's for the restrictions are for clan battles. They
clan battles.
Say anything about carriers for that. So I presume ranked battles will have carriers, and interestingly enough, the Gold League will only be 5 versus 5. So they're trying to reduce the amount of players with each league.
Like from a matchmaking perspective, that probably makes sense. So you don't have people getting further up and then having to wait longer and longer in the queue.
Yeah, good point. Actually, I was thinking more like like the smaller team size means your own individual skill matters a bit more because there are less other people. So maybe I thought like at the higher tiers, right, it makes easier for the good players to actually go through Gold League and makes it harder for the people that are accidentally in Gold League to progress because the good players will have more influence. But, it might just be matchmaking related.
That's the thing that immediately jumped to mind because I know in previous seasons, there's been fairly regular posts on Reddit of people posting the wait times, especially kind of early and late in the season when there's fewer people around, of having to just sit there and queue to try and get through it because there's just not enough other people around still playing or that have gotten to that point.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting because 5 versus 5 with carriers. I mean, at least there won't be any subs, I suppose. Might be super ships, who knows? But imagine if they could play a super carrier in a 5 versus 5.
I don't want to think. No, just don't make me remember super carriers at all. Please.
Wouldn't that be that's what everyone asking for, right? A 5 versus 5 ranked with super carriers that then get more experience for kills.
Yeah. Man, I mean this is all presumably coming out before any spotting changes will have been made to carriers as well, so
I mean they're still in internal testing and they haven't said anything.
Maybe these jet planes won't be able to spot the same. But the idea of having these things whizzing over the map and doing extremely rapid spotting, especially in a low player competitive environment, like, okay. Yeah. It's like if you're going to have a carrier, then you're going to want a super carrier because anything else is just going to be inferior at that point.
Well, I mean, since carriers are always matched and super carriers are another tier, they'd have to, match super carriers, so both teams would have one.
Oh, so, yeah, they would at least be matched up. But again, it's going to be one of these things of, is it going to be any fun for anybody else in any other class of ship?
No, obviously no.
Yeah.
The spreadsheets, unless the spreadsheet says it's fun for them, then everything's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we all know the spreadsheet is the ultimate arbiter of enjoyment and player experience.
But hey, at least in the clan battles, no carriers. So, hooray for that, I guess.
That was the bit I was getting wrongly excited about. Clan battles, I'm much less likely to be playing than ranked as well, so oh well.
Yeah. And there were details about clan battles coming later. I'm not really playing clan battles, so I don't care that much, but I'm happy to see that no carriers are allowed, because at least some people are going to have fun in World of Warcraft, even if it's not me. Oh, and we've now have finally a release date for the Kurfürst and Cover switch, which is going to be in 0.11.1, which is probably not the next patch, but the patch afterwards.
Yeah,
I think.
So it'll probably be into February by that point.
Yeah, I mean the next patch is coming like on next week. That would be like the 20th for us. And then it's gonna be about a month, usually, the patch cycle. So I guess that patch is gonna be end of February, beginning of March.
I mean, we're kind of in a slightly extended cycle at the moment anyway, but it's generally the case over...
Yeah, but it's just that nobody works over Christmas and New Year's. So.
Yeah, and let's not forget that, Russian New Year's is different than
is it?
Is in most countries. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I mean, I know that like Asia has a different New Year, but didn't know about Russia.
I'm pretty sure the Orthodox calendar has a different New Year's than we do in most European countries. Someone in the chat will tell me if I'm getting completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I know that's caused... I'm remembering because it's caused confusion in previous years, and people from St. Petersburg, going, yeah, Happy New Year, except it's not quite New Year for us yet, but, it will be soon. Anyway, that's completely nothing to do with chips or anything. That's just, yeah.
Anyway,
we'll probably do the next patch relatively soon at this stage of things.
Possibly. Well, anyway, there are now changes to bots, which they updated the AI system completely. So they don't expect a noticeable change, but they have no idea what will happen. So
yeah, I think they're just hedging their bets with this. I mean, if they've changed the back end of how the bot programming works to make it more modular or whatever, so they can make changes to it easier, then it's a kind of change in programming that can always have unintended consequences.
Yeah. Any major change is scary in a sense. So knowing Wargaming, it will probably break torpedoes or something.
Well, maybe, yeah. It's clearly not intended to have a change on the bot's behavior. It's intended to make it easier for them to tinker with.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it might end up. So we'll see.
They say it allows them to set up bots for different battle types and game situations easier, which begs the question, are we going to see like more game modes that have PvE content in it, or maybe actual PvE game modes? I wouldn't be opposed to something like that.
No, certainly. I mean, having it more finely tuned for different scenarios or whatever, sure. I can see absolutely no issue with that. I mean, I can't. There's not really any downside.
No downsides. I'm just wondering if it is like, I mean, they could, for example, do a convoy mode with bots or something, right? Basically, if they say it allows them to set up bots for different battle types and game situations, meaning they could have more ideas or more plans coming, and they just need bot. Like if the bot AI can be made to work in more situations. It gives them more room to develop new game modes. But then again, they'd have to want to invest into PvE.
Yes. I mean, the last time they changed anything, particularly with the bots, didn't they at one point make the co-op bots a bit harder and then had to revert it because...
Yeah, they updated like the bot AI and then people lost games and so they had to reverse it.
So yeah, the other ones haven't changed the AI behavior that they've talked about publicly anyway in probably a fair while. So yeah, we'll see potential improvements there.
And then we get some new camos.
Yeah, well, almost the last thing. We have camos and patches. The ones for Canarius and Dido, I'm pretty sure that's very similar to the camos that we already have for HMS Perth.
Yeah.
Or HMAS Perth, rather. So that's not a particularly new look, but, they suit the ship all right. Well, I wonder about the Canarius one. Like, did it really have a British-style camo in... Because they look very similar. The colours are slightly different, but I don't know. Maybe they did have a British-style camo, even though it was a Spanish ship.
I don't know. It would be interesting if there's historical relevance for those camos. They don't look especially different than what you've seen, as you said. So, but they look all right.
Yeah.
Austin looks amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what currency that is available for. It's kind of all... I don't know. It's almost... oh, God, what's the name of the game? Castlevania or whatever. It's like it's bats and spookiness kind of thing, which seems an odd time of year to be releasing that, but it is quite a decent-looking camo, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not sure what inspired it, but it looks amazing. Now I don't have an Austin, so But I'd love to see a camo like that on other ships. It's a good-looking camo.
Definitely, yeah. So then we have the most important news of the entire podcast. I mean, there's two other patches, but the important one is obviously the Cat Commander patch.
Yes.
By far and away the most important thing. So.
No, they still don't have a proper cat captain, actually, that makes cat noises, but there is now a cat commander patch.
Yes.
I approve.
Obviously, the next logical step is to have because there's the cartoon cat.
Yes.
But it's not quite the same. I mean, obviously, I would happily volunteer Sam to do the cat commander voices, but I'm not sure how Wargaming would feel about that.
I mean, the sad part is that the cartoon cat doesn't make cat noises, which is such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But, we get the cat captain patch.
Which I might almost even be tempted to use. I mean, I've used the Panda one for basically forever. It's one of the OG patch things.
I'm using I'm using the cat that has the torpedo in its mouth. That's like a fish.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one as well. But this cat is the cat commander. It's the cat that's in charge, and we all know that's exactly the natural position for a cat. Actually, this is nothing to do with warships, but a friend sent me a video from a couple of weeks ago on YouTube, and it was somebody reading out some it was like Chinese poetry from the 11th century, but it was basically a dude writing poems about his cat. It was basically 1100s ancient China cat dad, and it was amazing. So there have always been these types of people around, apparently. It's not just a modern phenomenon.
Cats have domesticated humans in the ancient past.
It was literally that, because he was talking about because he had a mouse problem, and the mice were going at his manuscripts, and he was like, okay, I'll get a cat, the cat will deal with it. And then he gets more cats, and then he gets to a point where he's like, oh, the cats don't hunt anymore. Maybe it's because I feed them too much fish and they're all spoiled, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I love them too. So even though they're spoiled and they just lay around the place and be lazy and don't hunt mice anymore, I still think they're great. They're still the best.
Sounds relatable.
Yeah, so it was like, yeah, okay, some things really don't change. So, and then we come to the last and latest, which is there's going to be yet another new type of container available. Hooray.
Yeah.
And I do wonder what these are going to be available for, because one of the things it notes is they're going to have potentially tier 10 ships in them. And, well, I mean, they're all like either special ships, premium ships, whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's weird. They are going to have like a bunch of tier 10 premiums in it. And I mean, mostly I think they just want to show off how great the box is they've designed. They've spent a lot of time on designing that box.
But it's still a loot crate. It's still a gamble box. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it becomes available for. I mean, it does seem like okay rewards, but okay rewards without knowing what the price is going to be. We can't really say if they are actually going to be worth the money or not.
Probably your soul.
Probably. The fact that they're going to be tier 10 as well, I don't see these being cheap.
Yeah, I mean, there would obviously be the hope that you can earn them in an event or something, but you'll probably be sold.
So yeah,
details, of course, are late.
Yeah, 37,500 Elite Command XP, 12,500 free XP, or 900k credits. 15,000 coal, 3,700, 37,000 and a half free XP, or 120,000 Elite Commander XP, or 25. And these are all the different separate categories.
Yeah.
So I actually wouldn't get the two things of Elite Commander XP in the same crate, for instance, or 25 special signals of each type, or one of the following ships with the 10-point commander. So Moskva, Max Immelman, Napoli, Forrest Sherman, Hayate, Salem, Marceau, Yoshino, Grota Kurfürst, and Habarovsk. So I can't see these being cheap.
Yeah, so they're basically like the old ships, all of free XP ships of tier 10.
Yeah. But, in a loot box. So you can gamble for them. Never mind just buying them. No, you can now gamble for them, which is clearly the superior way.
Of course.
Actually,
but I mean, look at that box. It even has like a massive turret on top and secondary.
I'm sure it'll be animated and it'll look cool and etc. etc. But
the box will be much cooler than what's in it.
Probably. Yeah, I'm kind of cynically wondering if it's going to be a bunch of gold, and I'm sure the credits and whatever will be. I was like, oh yay, 900,000 credits, just what I wanted after I spent real money.
Yeah, probably pays 2,000 to balloons for the box.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we'll see the odds.
Yeah, of course, we don't know odds yet. That at least will be revealed. People will be able to judge for themselves. Whereas once upon a time, that wouldn't have been true. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that sort of brings us to an end here.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly check the portal, but I don't think there's anything else.
I mean, they sprung this death block on us,
Yeah.
very recently. It's a few hours old.
There is a contest going at the moment. I mean, we've also just had new Prime gaming rewards.
You mean there's the best battle thing?
Yeah, and there's also there's
a vote for a camouflage going on, yes.
Yeah, those are always like the camos that come out of those are usually quite good. So this is going to be the Aviary, which is I think the tier 6 premium. And you can actually vote on that at the moment. Some of the designs do look quite good. There's even one that's a kind of Age of Sail style camo. And now that we've had Constellation in the game, I absolutely would love to see more of those. Although I don't know if it fits that well when we destroy. But yeah, camo contests are always nice. And the designs that come out of them are usually quite nice. And if you manage to get lucky, you'll get a premium ship container potentially, so more gamma boxes, yay! But yeah, and then there's this battle thing going on at the moment as well. So yeah, I mean, community contests and whatever. It's always nice to see those. So that's to be encouraged, I guess. It's been a while since we've had a camo contest, though. What was the last one? Like the Normandy?
I can't remember.
There's been a couple over the years. I mean, Blushkowitz had that. The Normandy had that. Did Leningrad have one? Like, there's been a handful of them. So yeah, Helena apparently. Okay, I must have missed that one. But they're a little bit low profile because they're usually on the portal, but they don't tend to advertise on that much in the game themselves. So, but yeah, there's some quite nice look. There's one that's very pizza themed, which is like pizza and pasta. It's like that's a little bit on the nose, maybe, but
I might have voted that very highly. I may or I can neither confirm nor deny how I voted for, but I might have given it a lot of points.
Well, of all these ones, just looking through them now, I really hope that Age of Sail one comes through, inspired by the Amerigo Vespucci, apparently. Anyway, yeah. I think that's about us then.
Yeah, I think that about concludes the podcast. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next week. And see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.